I hereby call the Brockton School Committee to order tonight. We're in the George Romm Little Theater at Brockton High School. It's Tuesday, January 3rd in the year 2023, 7 p.m. it being time. The agenda tonight is pretty full. I do want to read into the minutes. In addition to attending tonight, the public can view this meeting via television on Comcast Channel 98 and 1071 HD version, and also online via the following link, which is www.youtube.com/TheBrocktonChannels. At this time, I'm going to ask everybody, please stand and salute an American flag, and then I'd ask you to continue to stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members of the school committee, I'd like to take a moment of silence for two dedicated city employees. Both of their wakes were held today. Officer Sean Besrick of the Brockton Police Department and Allie Kerr-Cashin, a city Brockton Public Schools employee. They both passed untimely, and our thoughts and prayers go to their surviving loved ones. Moment of silence, please, for Sean and Allie. May they rest in peace. Thank you. So good evening. I do want to welcome you all back. I do want to also acknowledge Kim Gibson, President of the BEA. Thank you for always being here, Kim. Want to thank Superintendent Thomas, and I've said this many times. Hope everybody had a great holiday. It's time to roll up the sleeves and get the job done again going into the next year. So with that being said, I do have to establish a quorum. Mrs. Sullivan? Here. Mr. Homer? Here. Mrs. Ehlers?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Ms. Azak?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
Chair is here as well. We have established a quorum. Agenda 1 has been completed. Agenda number 2, hearing of visitors. Mrs. Campbell has indicated there are no hearing of visitors at this time. So now we will go on to Agenda 3, which is the establishment of officers, which we do on a yearly basis relative to the organizational meeting of the Brockton Public School Committee. So at this time, I open it up to any comments or ultimately any motions. Ms. Azak, please.
I'd like to make a motion for Mike Thomas as secretary.
So motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Ms. Azak. It was properly seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. The motion before us is Superintendent of Schools Mike Thomas will serve for the year 2023 as Secretary of the Brockton Public Schools School Committee. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. Raise your hand if you oppose. It does pass unanimous. Congratulations, Mr. Secretary. Thank you very much. We will continue to move forward relative to agenda number 3, establishment of other officers. Any comments? Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for the vice chair for 2023 of the Brockton School Committee, Ms. Kathy Ellis.
So motion made by Mr. Sullivan relative to Kathy Ehlers serving as vice chair for the year 2023. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Motion was properly made by Mr. Sullivan. It was properly seconded by, I just want to write this down, Mrs. Sullivan. We will do a roll call vote so that we can actually note it for the record. So I'll just go around. You will vote.
Can I make a nomination?
Sure.
For,
Sure.
I would like to make a nomination for Vice Chair Joyce Azak.
Okay. Motion was made by Mrs. Rivas Mendez. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Homer. Are there any other contemplated memberships put up tonight? Any other names that want to be in contention for vice chair at this time? Any members of the school committee? If not, yes, Mrs. Sullivan?
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
I just wanted to, for the public to know, because Kathy Ehlers is running. So Kathy is a professional that has worked in higher education her entire professional career. She is vice president at a college which specializes in a population very similar to our Brockton Public School students. She is a member of the Brockton Rotary Club. She has worked for 3 years at the Immigrant and Refugee Resettlement Organization to better understand the barriers our students are facing. She was elected to the Ward 1 School Committee seat November 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Are there any other comments at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to entertain a motion to close nominations, meaning if we accept the nominations as presented. The only two parties that's names are in contention would be Kathy and Joyce. So are there any other people that want to put names in contentions? If not, the chair will humbly ask for nominations to be closed this time.
Nominations to be closed.
So motion made by Mr. Sullivan to close nominations. Is there a second? Second made by Mrs. Sullivan. So we'll take a hand vote on this to close nominations. There'll be no additional names added to the potential vice chair. All in favor of closing the nominations? All opposed? It does pass unanimous. What comes before us now under Robert's rules is we'll do, and I'll do a roll call vote. If you support Mrs. Ehlers, you'd say Kathy Ehlers. If you support Joyce Azak, you'd say Joyce Azak, and we'll have to tally it, okay? Now, if there is happen to be a tie, under the rules and regs, we would have to continue it. What would happen if we go 3 times, at that point, we have to continue it to a later date so that Peter Mello, Attorney Mello, would come here, because you can't formalize a formal vote unless it meets the majority, okay? All right, so, Mrs. Sullivan,
Kathy Ehlers.
Mr. Homer,
Joyce Asak.
Mrs. Ehlers,
Kathy Ehlers.
Mrs. Rivas Mendez,
Joyce Asak.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Joyce Asak.
Ms. Azak,
Joyce Asak.
Mr. Sullivan,
Kathy Ellis.
and the chair will vote Kathy as well. And I'll tell you why, and this isn't an offense because I've enjoyed working with Joyce. I come from the city council 14 years, and every year we change out. I would ask at some point, maybe the school committee could continue thinking about doing that. I just think it's good practice, but that's my own humble opinion.
Can I make a comment
Sure.
about that? So I do understand from the city council side why they change every year. But just like what I've seen, especially being on the board as a member, it is the learning curve. The first couple, I'm all about embracing women. So women power, Joyce Asak and Kathy Ehlers. I will never go against that. But I just personally understand that it is a learning curve the first year. And that is with anything we take. And then the second year is just, there's more feel and understanding of what the organization is. Again, the vice chair, we have to be very clear what this position is, because we all have votes and powers on this board, and we can all have focuses in what direction we want. And at the end of the day, the center are the kids, right? That's the open meeting law, and that's just what we are all about. So when we think about a vice chair just simply represents us in the face, in the sense of when there's a crisis happening, and there needs to be a statement made or something like that. And then the idea of working with our secretary, Michael Thomas, and you, Chair Bob Sullivan. But in reality, I think there's this idea that vice chair has this certain power, when in reality, we all have it. So when I think about the organizational piece, and I think many people can speak to this, the first year, I do understand it's a learning curve. So I do see your perspective, Mayor. But I also think like school, I personally never been on a city council. You have that experience. But from the school perspective, I can see why it would be an important learning curve, especially with understanding who does who in the district and other things that may go about that.
Thank you, Mrs. Rivas-Mendez. Mrs. Sullivan.
I do agree with a lot that you said, Cynthia, but I think
Just under Robert's rules, nobody, because we took a formal vote, that vote, it was a 4-4 tie. Nobody objects to have school committee members talk at this time, right? Nobody's objecting to that. Okay. Go ahead, Mrs. Sullivan.
I just feel as though the vice chair is a position that the mayor is the chair, and the vice chair is there, like all of us are there, to support the mayor and support the superintendent. So all of us can do that in this seat. And none of us are, from that. We're all capable of doing that. So it doesn't matter if it's changed every year. And I've been on for 9 years, and, I think it should be a different person every year. I think we should do it a lot more like the city council does it, which I believe they do the vote in private. It's not done publicly like this.
Yes,
Glad
it is.
we've gotten
Oh, it
to
is?
that
Yes,
point.
it is.
Okay, I've never seen it.
It is.
In all these years, I've never seen it.
It will
But
be
yeah.
next Monday night.
Okay.
Ms. Sullivan, and I'm glad you say that, and I'm glad you're willing for it to change, but that's really not the history of the school committee, which is very unfortunate, as we know. But that was just my perspective. I understand yours now, and I know perspective changes over time, and I'm grateful I understand your views and Mayor Sullivan's, and that's a progressive move for sure, because as we know, the history was not like that with the vice chair.
No,
Someone was in
but-
power for a very long time.
But a lot of people didn't want to do it over the years, and so that person, they liked how they did it. But the thing is I'm not saying I don't like how the person did it. I'm just saying that I think it should, anybody that wants to do it should be able to do it. And I think the members should support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Mr. Rodriguez, please.
I mean, everybody has their one vote. I think it's kind of disheartening tonight, as from last year, where the majority of the school committee voted for Mrs. Azak to be the vice chair, and the chair also coincided with the majority of the school committee, but he has that choice to, vote for who he wants to, so it's kind of disheartening how it didn't follow that way this year around.
Any other comments at this time from anybody? Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you. So everyone made some really good points this evening. So a lot of people don't understand, having the vice chair position, we are all equal. The only thing that's different is when members reach out to you, you need to be familiar with our policies and things that we go through on a daily basis. So Mrs. Ehlers is a wonderful woman. We're good friends. It's just being on the committee for the first year, I could be wrong, but I don't believe that the council elects a president after 1 year experience. So having this position, you have to be familiar with what we go through throughout the year. And being there and accessible during the day and events and things like that. I agree with Mr. Rodriguez. I'm surprised that we just had to turn this into a tie. But, it's up to the committee. We're all here to work together. I think I did a great job. We learned a lot in this past year than I have in all my years on the committee. It's a learning process, and it's keeping us out of trouble, knowing the rules, knowing the open meeting law, and constantly reminding our members what we need to do and not do. I just wanted to make that statement, but, it is up to the committee. We are all equal, but the chair is usually there, and I have been there for the members when they call and they have questions on things. If I don't know the answer, I will help them find the answer. And that's what the chair position to me really is being there for our members. So, and it is. And it's not that no one really wanted to run for that position. It's just people were comfortable over the years, and we, just elected others. But it is a learning process. And there's a lot that we go through over the years, and we're all still learning. And many members have been on the committee for many years. And a lot of policies that we have in place, we learned about this past year, believe it or not. So just want to make a statement, but
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Any additional comments from any of the school committee members? Mrs. Sullivan, please.
I just wanted to say that you do not have to be available during the day to be the vice chair. You are certainly not paid a full-time salary to do this. You don't need to be available during the day. That is not one of the requirements, okay? The requirements of it is to take the seat of the chair when the chair isn't here. And anybody here can do that. And everybody here knows school policy. We have our policy manual, and we all know what the policies are. So any of us here could be the vice chair. That's my opinion. Any person here could serve in this position and should be able to if they want to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Any additional comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll go back to a vote. There are two names that have been put in nominations, Kathy Ehlers and Joyce Azak, and we'll go around again to see if there's been any change in any votes. Mrs. Sullivan,
Kathy Ehlers.
Mr. Homer,
Joyce Azak.
Mrs. Ehlers,
Kathy Ehlers.
Mrs. Rivas Mendez,
Joyce Azak.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Joyce Azak.
Ms. Azak,
Joyce Asak.
Mr. Sullivan.
Kathy Ehlers.
Chair has the same vote, Kathy Ehlers, so we're, again, 4-4. Any additional comments at this time?
So we do this a third time?
Third time. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I don't think it's going to change, but you never know.
I do have a question about a comment that Vice Chair, that member Judy Sullivan made.
Sure.
In the open meeting laws, not in the open meeting laws, in the booklet, when it does describe the Vice Chair, it's just one line, which I find very interesting, because from my understanding, the Vice Chair does a lot more. So it has a whole description of what the Chair does, which is very helpful. And this is on the tab, let me find it. So it's on the tab 1, and it talks about the school committee officers, and it gives you this whole detail of duties of the chair, right? But then duties of the vice chair just says that that person would act in the absence as the chair's presiding officer of the committee and will perform such other duties as may be delegated or assigned to them. Now, the number one question I have, as we know, we have gone through many safety concerns. Us and many other districts, we know Brockton is a very special and very unique district compared to, this seems to be officer duties, according to a whole Massachusetts. So we know our districts all look different. So in the case of the chair being the mayor, and the mayor having to run a whole city, from my understanding, what has occurred before, especially when we were going through the very big incidents in Brockton High School, from my understanding, the vice chair at that time had to be present during the day. And we even had many emergency meetings that had to be scheduled on Saturdays because of how severe the situation had gotten. So I do think that even though this description is literally 2 lines and it's very vague, vice chair has to adapt to the situations that we are in. So in regards to the day, if you're not accessible during the day and the mayor's not, so who takes on? It seems like the person that has the most years on the committee would take that representation on. But would that look good for us as a school committee if the vice chair and the chair are not available? Like that, it's just a wonder because it's such a vague description.
And I concur with you, and I think what would be, however this pans out, someone's going to become vice chair. But I do think at some point, this body should work with legal counsel to bring this up to speed. I think it's outdated, much like a lot of the city ordinances that are being vetted out right now. This might have been good in the 60s or 70s, but it's not good in 2023. So thank you for saying that on the record. Ms. Azak, please.
Thank you, Mrs. Mendez. So a lot of people don't know. Many times I will get a call from the superintendent. I need you to coordinate a meeting. I need you to reach out to the members. So the superintendent can back me up and the mayor can back me up. There's many a times you do need to be accessible.
Calls and Zooms, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And there are times that I need you at Central. Can you stop by? We have a meeting or there's things going on. You have to have communication with your members and they need to be prompt. Again, this is a lot of stuff that, this is what happens. We've had a lot of training this past year that we haven't had over the years, and we've had many mask members represent before us, many, whether it's Jim Hardy or Glenn Kutcher or Tracy. They've all said to us, when a city has the mayor as their chair, the vice chair plays a larger role. It might not be described in the description, but the vice chair does play a larger role. Because the mayor is focusing on running the city. So I just want to clarify that it's just, you do need to be accessible. You need to be accessible at all times. We have emergencies, things happen, and while the superintendent and the mayor are attending to things, the vice chair needs to notify the members so they're not finding out on the news and they're not finding out secondhand or thirdhand. So the vice chair does play a very strong role being accessible during the day. So I just want to clarify that as well.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Mr. Rodriguez.
Mrs. Sullivan go.
Okay, then,
Mr.
if
Sullivan
that is
followed
true,
by Mr. Rodriguez.
then no vice chair that's ever been in has a job during the day. They all have a job during the day. You cannot require the vice chair to be available during the day when they're not paid the salary to be available during the day. It doesn't say it anywhere that they have to be available during the day. There's, text messaging, whatever, you can certainly answer. Everybody else has over the years for vice chair. So I don't agree. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, please.
As far as being available during the day, everybody, some people are retired, some people work for themselves. being accessible. We all try to be accessible. But, you know, I was very interested in this position myself. But I reassessed some things. But I look at somebody that is the vice chair, that I could pick up the phone and call and get some answers, not questions. And more power to Kathy for trying to step up. But I don't feel that I could call Kathy and get a decisive answer on any questions, because I'm not calling the mayor every day for any questions on the school committee, and I'm not calling the superintendent. In law enforcement, we use the chain of command, so the chain of command falls through the vice chair, and then it trickles up. So that's why my support for Joyce is crucial on this committee, and I hope those that can really assess and look at themselves and really make a better choice in selection. And I feel, and I know, you know, for the longest time that the school committee let somebody be the vice chair for 10+ years. And that's why I find, I find issues that this committee hasn't been addressing properly, including with subcommittees that came about, because everybody just sat back and let somebody run the show, and you were too comfortable with that. I'm not here, and I don't think anybody should just be sitting on this committee to be comfortable. You're here to make a change, and number one, it starts for the students.
Sorry.
Mr. Rodriguez, thank you. Mrs.
Yeah,
Rivas
I just
Mendez.
want to say, like, just coming into the committee and where we are now, the progressive thoughts are amazing. I just have to say, if we can move forward with these thoughts and these arguments, because when I got in, I'll be honest, people looked at me and said, how dare you? How dare you with an 8-month-old? And as many of you guys know, I'm expecting now. I do believe women, especially, we have so many barriers in society. We can have it all. We just can't have it at the same time. That's something that I live firmly by. So just hearing this, we, as the history of the committee and many government spaces, it's made for white men, especially the school committee, white retired men, which is very ironic if you ask me. So just hearing this progressive thoughts, I just have to say, I hope we really strongly move towards that, because this space should be open for many others. And I'm hearing it a lot with the arguments of selecting the vice chair. But from the past, from my understanding, not just the VCs, from the past, it seems like not the past, the ones that I've been on, but from the past, they've been pretty much, I mean, filling that description from my understanding. So I just have to say, this is awesome if we can actually move towards these thoughts and these arguments that we are talking about, because, wow, I just got to say, it wasn't it when I first came on.
It wasn't like that when I got elected mayor either, I'll tell you that. I'm going to go to Mrs. Sullivan, followed by Mrs. Ehlers, please.
I just wanted to say, in response to School Committee Rodriguez's, that's your opinion and your one vote, okay? And that's why we have 7 members, because each of us thinks of everything in a different way. And so you feel that way, but that's your feeling. You're not speaking for the committee. You're one vote, just like the vice chair is one vote. Everybody is one vote, and that's why. We all have the same power on this committee. And we should respect the people on the committee and their votes. We might not like somebody or like what they're doing, but we need to respect people, and we need to move forward for the betterment of the schools, the teachers, and the students. That's why we're here. It doesn't have to do with whether we like somebody or not, or whether I liked your vote, or what you said. And just that everybody's following ethics. This is a government board. There are ethics, and they're listed in the book. And everybody needs to be following ethics. That can come back on us and make the whole school committee. If somebody's doing something that is not ethical, then that could make the whole board look bad. And that's not what I want. So I'm just asking people to know that we're all a part of a group here, and we all have to get along, whether we like the person or what they're doing or not. And we all have to make sure that we're following ethics. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Mrs. Ehlers, please.
Thank you. First of all, whoever takes this position, the number one priority should be student outcomes, period. It shouldn't be drama. It shouldn't be anything other than how can we move our students forward. And I will tell you, before I decided to throw my hat in the ring for this, to Mr. Rodriguez's point, going through Joyce for questions, I learned a long time ago the best way to get my questions answered is to text the superintendent early in the morning, and then I speak with him before hours or after hours. And so to say that this requires somebody that has a lot of time during the day available, I think is 100% unfair. And I think it's wrong, because with the amount of work that comes out of the superintendent's office to support whoever's in this role, it's absolutely doable. The other thing is, nobody's going to do this job perfect. None of us are, whether it's your first year or your sixth year. And to Ms. Rivas's point, with all due respect, I realize this is my second year, but this is Mrs. Azak's sixth year being on the committee, and yet we're talking about the fact that we still need a second year because of a learning curve. I don't understand that. I just really don't. I don't understand why a learning curve is needed. I understand if there was a learning curve possibly for me, but then as a professional adult that works in higher education, I know what my resources are and I know what I need to do to get the job done, because that's what I do during my day. And so all I'm going to say is I'm going to commit to the fact of pushing forward anything that is involved with student outcomes this coming year. That has to be our focus, not drama, and not anything else that has been a part of this past year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ayers. Any additional comments at this time by Mr. Sullivan, please?
I just wanted to say that I'm glad that Kathy Ellis has thrown her hat in the ring. With her experience working in the colleges, I think she'll do a great job at it. And I, for one, would like to give her a chance to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Homer, any thoughts? No? Okay. My only thoughts are this. I enjoy this committee. I really do. We all come from different backgrounds. And I know at the end of the day, what was proven by the MSBA choosing Brockton for a $500 million public endeavor wouldn't happen without everybody around this table. So, we all come from different thoughts. Some went to the school, some didn't go to the school, some have kids in the system, some don't. But at the end of the day, we're all elected by the people to serve the people. And in this case, it's to help kids, bottom line. So I know we'll get through this, and whoever's vice chair, I'm going to embrace, and everybody will embrace, and Mike will embrace. What time do you text him in the morning? I don't know if you beat me, but but at this time, if there's no additional comments, we will have to take another vote. And we'll just see how it pans out. I'll start again with you, Mrs. Sullivan, please.
Kathy Ayers.
Mr. Homer, please.
Kathy Ayers.
Mrs. Ayers.
Kathy Ayers.
Mrs. Rivas Mendez.
Joyce Azak.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Joyce Azak.
Ms. Azak. Mr. Sullivan.
Kathy Ayers.
I will keep my vote the same, Kathy Ayers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 5-3. So Kathy Ayers has been duly elected vice chair for the year 2023. I'm going to take a 2-minute recess at this time. I hereby call the Brockton School Committee back into order. We have done establish of officers. Again, Kathy Ayers will serve as the vice chair. Superintendent Mike Thomas will serve as the secretary. Agenda item 4 has been respectfully requested by the outgoing vice chair to postpone that. I will have to, under Robert's rule, entertain a motion on that to postpone.
Yeah, we can just go ahead and do that. That's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
We'll do it.
So agenda 4 is a presentation of the plaque to the outgoing vice chair, Joyce Azak. Superintendent?
Yeah, so this is the plaque they give every year. So this plaque is given every year to the vice chair. This plaque is given every year to the vice chair, outgoing vice chair. So it says Brockton School Committee, Joyce J. Azak, Vice Chair, 2022. And we obviously thank Joyce for her commitment and everything she's done throughout the past year, but also for her 6 years that she's been on the school committee. And 7 years.
It's my 8th.
Yeah, wow. Sorry, I know time goes by too fast. So her 8th year, but again, everything she's done for the support of the kids, the facilities, helping, again, like you said, a big part of pushing forward the MSBA, and also help lead us through the tough years of COVID. So we want to thank her for her service.
Yeah, I just want to echo the sentiments. I mean, Vice Chair has been working diligently with the superintendent and myself. 8 years of public service. Every Tuesday night is a long commitment, but I just want to, as mayor and as the chair, I just want to say thank you and look forward to continuing working with you.
Yeah, I would love to make a comment for Joyce. One, I have to say, just the organizational part that I was talking about. This year, you just have, I have to say, like the first few years, I think I was one term and done, to be completely honest, because it's very overwhelming. It's very overwhelming to just be in many spaces, and emails important, calling, being able to just reply right away. Like, I very much admire Michael Thomas. I think that's definitely one of your strengths is communication. And I think it's something that I have learned to grow in this committee. And Joyce, I just think just a simple text sometimes, because we don't have time during the day to check our emails. I very much appreciate that. Because as we know, we all have our own lives or our own things that we're going about. So I have to say also just having you, and Tony, as I'll be honest, as mentors on this committee, you guys really pushed me to do the second term. So I just have to say thank you. I have to say, as I've said before, a lot of times in education, we have to understand how to coach our own emotions, because this work is very emotional. That's something that I do with Boston Public Schools. I literally coach new teachers with their emotions when they're like ready to be like, I'm done. So I have to say, just just pa'lante, like we say in Spanish, and si se puede. And personally, I've enjoyed very much working with you, and just know that wisdom comes with putting our emotions aside, keeping it professional, keeping your head up, and putting on those bad girl heels. So thank you for that year, 2022.
Thank you, Mrs. Mendez, for the kind words. I appreciate it. It's not easy keeping everybody organized. Some would get annoyed with having to check in at times, but it's part of the job. We have to have good communication. So, but thank you for the kind words. It was my pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ehlers, please.
I'd like to reiterate, actually, Cynthia's comments in regards to Joyce for this past year. I know this is a difficult night for you, but I want you to understand that I have learned a lot from you in the past year. And with any luck, I would like to be able to lean on you. I know that's a bitter pill to swallow right now, but at the same time, I would like to keep the communication up, because Cynthia's right. That also helped me. Communication is the key with this group. And I just wanted you to know that I appreciate what you've contributed and what you've taught me over the past year. And thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. I'm fine. I only stepped up because I felt we needed someone with the experience. And that was the only reason I stepped up again, because it is a very challenging position and it is very time consuming. But, I wish Mrs. Ehlers the best of luck. And we are a committee, so hopefully this will not keep us divided. And hearing from some others, which is very surprising, but let's take those words that have been said earlier to heart, and let's really get the committee back together. And it's for the kids.
Absolutely. Any additional comments at this time? Mr. Rodriguez, please.
Joyce, you had a nice run, but we bumped heads a lot, but we still were able to conversate. We spoke a lot on the phone. I brought a lot of questions, and I self-educate myself a lot on a lot of those things that I don't see within this school district. Same way that I was with Mark, and outgoing with Tom, being new and trying to gain much experience as possible and knowing what the vice chair seat means leadership and communication, which is very key. And I think some comments that were made here to some individuals, they really need to take a look in the mirror when they talk about respect and communication. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. It's honestly, I think many of us learned a lot this year, learning about a lot of policies that we really need to start updating, believe it or not. So we've learned a lot. It was definitely a learning experience, and I'm looking forward to it. But we have an amazing committee, so hopefully this will. Our committee is divided. People see it. We're on camera. It is what it is. But hopefully this brings us back together. We all need to work together. No drama, and we all need to respect each other. So I appreciate the kind words.
Thank you, Ms. Azak. Any additional comments at this time?
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple.
Superintendent?
So again, I'm in a difficult position at times because I work for the 8 of you. So I'm very careful never to take sides. I mean, it's very difficult for me because I want to work with all of you I work well with. And it's, it's difficult. It's not an easy position to be in sometimes, and I'm glad I don't have to vote on these because, I work for you, and I should answer your call or text anytime, and I think anytime you've all reached out, I always call back within hopefully an hour or two at the most, which I'll continue always to do. And Joyce and I spent a ton of time, just like Mark before. I was not superintendent when Tom was vice chair. It was Mark and Joyce. And again, I do talk to them several times during the day, sometimes once, sometimes 4 times, depending on what's going on in the school system. So then Joyce can answer to the members, get out word to the members what's going on. Because some stuff I have to keep confidential because it could be personnel matters, and just give like an overview so people know this is going on. Same with students. It's all, a lot of it's confidential, but school committee members should know what's going on in the district. So I'm always available, whether it's a Saturday, Sunday, nights, and I just hope. I've always said around the state, and Kim Gibson and I have this conversation all the time, that we're very fortunate, and even though you feel you're divided, we're very fortunate in Brockton because there are nightmares stories, and Glenn Kuchar told us that. Kim has heard it from her fellow presidents across the state of school committees they're a disaster, and nothing ever gets done. They forget about the kids, which you've never done. You've never forgotten about the kids. I know everybody's going to have different opinions, and everybody's going to have arguments and disagreements, but the one powerful thing about always the Brockton School Committee, you've always, had good discussions and disagreements, but always made decisions in the best interest of kids, and I'm sure that will continue. And the last thing I want as a superintendent is a divided committee, because I work with all of you perfectly fine. And there's nightmares across the state that, of divided committees, that it ends up just bogging everything down. And we have a lot of important work to do. As you know, I've made a 90% proficiency commitment to have our kids 90% proficient in 5 years. We have this huge commitment now for a new Brockton, renovated Brockton High School. We have a huge commitment we're working on with turf fields that we'll be presenting in a few weeks. So there's a lot of work to do. And I just think, I appreciate all of you, and I just hope that we can come together, and because it's very important for a superintendent to have, and you have been, a committee that works together. Because we would have never got through COVID without you and how you supported me and supported the kids.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. We also have the Transportation Center. We have to come up
Yeah.
with that. I mean, that's something that, we came together to buy the vehicles for a reason, cost savings, but now we actually have to house them somewhere. So, Mr. Homer, please.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Obviously, a few words. don't often speak too much about where my thoughts lie, but I think just I appreciate the superintendent emphasizing the point that I think when we hear comments about being divided, I think really that speaks more just to style. I'm obviously someone that sits back and tries to take things in and listen more. But I think it is true, though, that every one of you are here supporting your students in your neighborhoods and your constituents, where all of us are working. And we all know Joyce works above and beyond with the effort she does to support families and kids every year with her programs. There's no doubt about it that we all are moving in the same direction. We are all here supporting the kids. I think the division is just it's just personal style, and you can all see, everyone watching can see, I sit back and I play it quiet and I play cards close to the vest. But I think tonight it's just an opportunity to just move ahead rather than force an issue, delay things. We all know where we want to go. We know which direction we need to go in. And this is a new opportunity. It'll be a new experience. I've learned a lot in a year from Ms. Asak, and I know I'll continue to learn from her as well. And Kathy and I being new members together, I think we also work together and we bounce a lot of ideas off one another. And I think, like Mrs. Sullivan said, I think any one of us could do the job. And I appreciate both of you for wanting to take on that responsibility and having that organizational skills. My wife will tell you I'm not organized. I probably would be a disaster at that. But hats off to both of you for stepping up and going above and beyond and wanting to do that extra measure of service for the school committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Homer. Any additional last comments before we move on to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Number 5 is the consent agenda, and because it's the first meeting of the year, we only have A and B. Does any member want to take them out separately, or would we take them collectively at this time?
Motion to approve items A and B on the consent agenda?
There's a motion on the floor.
Second.
Who made the second? I'm sorry. Okay, Mrs. Sullivan. Before we take the vote, let me just read it into the record, please. A is the approval of the minutes, December 20, 2022, public hearing, building naming subcommittee, and then B is the acceptance of the human resources notifications, appointments, certified personnel, appointments, non-certified, and then lastly, personnel actions, leaves of absences, resignations, and retirements. There's a motion on the floor. It was properly seconded to take A and B collectively. All in favor, kindly raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Passes unanimously, A and B. We will now go on to Agenda 6, which is the report of Superintendent of Schools, Mike Thomas. Superintendent,
We have no report tonight during the organizational meeting.
any items to refer to subcommittee? No, because we haven't formed a subcommittee yet. Just for the record, last year, if we all can remember, last year as chair, when the vice chair was selected, we didn't designate subcommittees at that meeting. We waited to the next meeting so that I could work with the vice chair to formulate that. We will be doing the same thing. So at the next meeting, subcommittees will be formulated. Just so everybody is aware, you won't be subcommittees tonight. Yes?
Can I add a comment to subcommittees?
Sure.
The progressive thought we're thinking about changing every year, can we keep that same thought with subcommittees? Because I do highly feel it's been factual. We could see that same people have been chairing the same subcommittees, have been on the same committees for many years. And I don't want to be discriminated because I will be out for a little bit, but I want to be treated still as a member with equal power on this board in whatever subcommittee, either I chair it or to be on it. But I want to get more exposure on other subcommittees that I've never been on, because people continuously are always on those subcommittees for as long as I've been on the board.
Absolutely, absolutely, without question. And again, apples to oranges, right? City council, school committee. But when I serve, 5 different times as the president, you have to mix it up. You want people to really get a variety of different skill sets. So, yes. I'm sorry, Ms. Azak, please.
So do we need to vote on that, Chair, as it is part of our school committee policy to have the subcommittees appointed this evening? It's stated under
Right, but I ran that by Attorney Mello. I agree, as
because
a
it
lawyer.
states it right here that it's
Right,
done during
but-
our
but
organizational meeting.
What we did last year, Joyce, you and I, we waited after you were selected, and we did it the next. So we will do the same thing going.
So do we need to vote on that is my question.
Well, I mean, we
We need to vote to move it to the next
Yeah,
school
I
committee
mean,
meeting.
we could, absolutely. And then if anybody has any questions about that, again, we could either I'd rather not spend the money to have him come here, but we could have him on call at the next meeting, Attorney Mello, if needed. Ms. Rodriguez?
We actually waited to formulate the subcommittees because it went from 3 to 4 that it's supposed to be. That's why we delayed the vote for the
Well,
subcommittees.
that was one of the reasons, but I also wanted to work with the first vice chair, because last time it was D'Agostino. Mrs. Sullivan?
I thought we had a discussion on the 3 to 4, and the 4, it didn't really work because then there was a deadlock, okay? And I don't know why you say it should be 4. It's never been 4. It's always been 3. There was only one committee that was 4. And the fourth person never showed up because I was the chair for 4 years. So that is, we've always had 3 on a subcommittee, and I think we kind of agreed to that when we discussed it.
Ms. Azak, followed by Mr. Rodriguez.
I'd like to clarify something, Mrs. Sullivan. So in our policy, a subcommittee quorum is 3. No more than 4 members. It is in our policy, Mrs. Sullivan. We have the policies. You might want to check them.
Well,
So in our
maybe
policy,
then you're saying that it's been done wrong for all these years. It was always 3. So,
things happen over the years, and
but I don't agree. It's not
it's
said
in our
that way.
policy, and we have to follow our
A
policy. till
subcommittee
it's
can be
changed.
3 or 4.
A quorum
Yes.
is 3. and
No,
your
it's
sub-
whatever the majority of
No,
the subcommittee
Mrs. Sullivan,
is.
you really need to check our policy. You really need to check the policy.
You really need to check the policy.
Mrs. Sullivan, it's in black and white. We have the policy. Mrs. Campbell, do you have the policy available? I believe I do, Mrs. Sullivan. Let me check it. So it does state 3 is a quorum, no more than 4 members. It is in our policy, and I will get
But
that
that
to you.
doesn't say that we have to have 4 members. It
So
just
if you have
says,
3 and one doesn't show up, then you don't have a quorum.
you can ask Mask because I did.
We don't
okay?
need
If
to
there's
ask Mask.
3,
It's Mass General
then
Laws,
the
Mrs.
Quorum
Sullivan.
is 2.
And it's our
It's
policy.
whatever the majority of the subcommittee is.
No, it's not. It's in black and white.
Yes, it
Chair,
is.
can you please
So
clarify that?
as chair, what I'm going to do, so that everybody's on the same page, I'm going to have Attorney Mello email all of us tomorrow through the superintendent's office, Mrs. Campbell, so it's crystal clear from our lawyer what the right answer is. That'll come through you, Mike, okay? Any other comments on that? Oh, I know.
And he's already clarified it for us earlier in the year. Our attorney already clarified it.
I agree.
We'll look up, so, we'll look up what Pete sent us before we'll have to. We did this last year before we.
That's correct.
Excuse me, I have it right here, Mrs. Sullivan. It's School Committee Policy BEDC. Members of the school committee subcommittees is limited to no more than 4 members. A quorum for the subcommittee is 3. It's right here, Mrs. Sullivan. It's in our policy.
It's limited to 4. That doesn't have to be 4. It was
No more than
always-
4, but our quorum is 3.
Right, you can make
So
it
if
up
you
to
have 3
3
and someone's
or 4.
absent, you don't have a quorum. That doesn't make sense.
The
Again, this is
quorum-
the knowledge that somebody
Bryce,
really
what
needs
it
as
is
vice
saying
chair.
is,
Can't talk over each other, please. Let's have some decorum.
go ahead, finish.
It is in our policy, and this is one of the things as vice chair, you need to know our policies. And these are things that a few of the members have looked through over the year. So things might have been done that way for years, but this is how it's supposed to be. 3 is a quorum, no more than 4 members. So you have 3 people on a
It says
committee.
limited to,
Oh, my
though.
God.
That's not, it doesn't say it has to
So
be.
what we'll do,
It doesn't say it has to be.
we'll get the email out again to everybody. I remember what it was, but everybody else will get it. All right, we're going to move on. Chair's going to move on.
Can I speak?
Yes?
Not to go back and forth, Jody, if you could just respect the whole body when people are speaking. This was something that came up that when I was looking up the policy, and I brought it up to the committee and the mayor, the chair brought it up to the attorney, and the attorney clarified it. As Ms. Azak stated, yes, I talked to Mask. It states a quorum is 3, meaning that this committee, for a long time, hasn't been following the rules, because if you have one person missing, you do not have a quorum. That meeting does not take place. And for somebody like you, Mrs. Sullivan, that when I first got on this committee, read word for word what the job duties of a school committee member is, I think you need to reassess that and read it yourself and understand that clearly and know your position. And also read the Roberts rules. You can go back to our last meeting and see how you conducted that meeting. But just respect everybody, because you were talking about respect. She's speaking, I'm speaking. That's what we clarified. And now you want to bring this up because there's a tie. there's a reason why there's a tie, because some people on this committee actually do their job and do research.
Okay, I don't think he should be
So
allowed to.
that's, you should know your
He
role.
shouldn't be allowed to, like, publicly
I'm speaking.
say that about
And you
members.
still continue to
I'm talking about
interrupt.
respect, and
Keep
you're the
the
only one
quorum.
that's throwing things at me that is disrespectful.
Chair's going to move forward. Keep the quorum and professionalism at all times, please. With that being said, everybody will get that email. I remember exactly what the email said, but we'll send it out. Melinda has it in the file. Ms. Azak?
If we can just have, when I did it, I would reach out to the members and ask them what their top choices were.
Correct.
Because it does make sense to have some members that do have experience on certain committees, and then you have the new members that are coming in. A lot of stuff does get moved from one year to another, so it's good to have them familiar.
Correct.
But I would like the opportunity to be able to, for example, IT, they meet every single, one Wednesday every single month for a year. Not sure if anybody on the committee knew that. You do have to meet during the day for that. So it's important that some of these subcommittees, we have a choice to give our top picks and then, you know, try different subcommittees. So I'd like that opportunity, if possible.
Yep, everybody will have that
To be able to send in our
opportunity.
top picks.
Absolutely.
It's hard to accommodate everybody, but it'd be nice.
Yeah, not everybody can be accommodated, but we'll mix it up to make it a good
Thank you.
mix of folks. Anything else? We're going to move on. Number 7 would be unfinished business. I don't believe there's any unfinished business, Superintendent, since it's the first meeting. Any new business before us? Agenda 8,
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Homer.
would that be a time to make a motion to postpone the formation of the subcommittees, put that to a vote? among
Yes.
the committee? Okay.
Yes.
So I'd like to make a motion that we postpone the formation of the subcommittees for another week, or, I'm sorry, until our next meeting, so that we can have time to get, like Ms. Asak said, have time to get people's input about which subcommittees they'd like to be serving on, and then give us time to formulate those committees.
Correct, that's the form of a motion. Is there a second on that?
Second?
So second, so just for the record, it was a motion made by Mr. Homer, properly second by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. All opposed, that passes unanimously, and that's exactly what will happen. Any other matters before this body at this time?